There are nights in the Champions League where the final scoreline tells only a fraction of the story, a minimalist sketch of a sprawling, chaotic mural. Arsenal's 2-0 victory over a typically tenacious Olympiacos was precisely such an occasion. On paper, it was a professional, competent dispatching of a worthy adversary, securing a perfect group stage record. Yet for anyone who witnessed the 90 minutes unfold under the Emirates lights, it was anything but straightforward. This was, in essence, a 5-0 coached performance that flirted perilously with a 1-1 calamity, a testament to both the team's sublime creative ingenuity and its exasperating lack of a clinical edge. It was a win, yes, but one that served as a crucial early-season diagnostic, a game to iron out the very flaws that could derail a campaign of such lofty ambitions. Amidst the narrative of squandered opportunities, a triumphant counter-melody emerged. This was the night Martin Ødegaard unequivocally announced his return to peak form. After a cameo against Newcastle that hinted at his reawakening, the Norwegian captain was handed the orchestra's baton from the start and proceeded to compose a masterpiece. He was not merely a participant, he was the game's gravitational center, a nexus of intelligence, aggression, and silken technique. From a deep-lying pivot to an advanced trequartista, Odegaard was omnipresent, his performance a declaration that Arsenal's creative heart was once again beating at its strongest rhythm. Let's start with Olympiacos, and then we'll explore the interesting stuff that took place at St. James's Park, especially how Martin Ødegaard was the key in changing the game. The story of the match can be told through a series of vivid, contrasting vignettes. The deadlock was broken not by intricate passing, but by the sheer, unadulterated power of Viktor Gyökeres. A beautiful threaded pass from Odegaard as the Swedish striker, a force of nature, bulldozed his way through two defenders, his raw strength creating a chance from nothing. Though his powerful shot cannoned off the post, Gabriel Martinelli, ever the opportunist, was on hand to convert the rebound. It was a goal born from physicality and instinct. The second goal, which arrived in the dying embers of the game, was the antithesis. It was a goal of pure guile, orchestrated by the balletic feet of Odegaard. His perfectly weighted pass dissected the Greek defense, finding the impeccably timed run of substitute Bukayo Saka, who coolly slotted the ball through the keeper's legs. Power and precision, the two poles of Arsenal's attack, had bookended the victory. Between these moments, however, lay a chasm of what-ifs. Gyökeres, for all his brilliant hold-up play, missed a trio of presentable chances. Leandro Trossard saw a goal-bound effort heroically cleared off the line. Martinelli, starting brightly on the right, could have embellished his tally. All the while, Arsenal's dominance was rendered fragile by their inability to land the knockout blow. This precarity was highlighted by the heroics of David Raya. The Spanish goalkeeper produced two saves of breathtaking quality, a world-class reflex stop to deny Daniel Podence's venomous volley, and a sharp athletic dive to parry a curling effort from Chiquinho. These were not routine saves. They were match-defining interventions that prevented the narrative from souring completely. Adding to the tactical intrigue was the deployment of youngster Miles Skelly at left-back, who operated as an underlapping fulcrum, providing crisp, progressive passes into midfield and demonstrating a maturity that belied his years. Yet the persistent threat of an Olympiacos equaliser, typified by a goal correctly ruled out for offside, lingered in the air until Saka finally provided relief. Arteta was effusive in his praise for his new striker, decoupling performance from the scoresheet. He had an incredible performance, he articulated. Apart from the goal, I think he did the rest of the things you ask for, threatening constantly the back line. It was a clear vote of confidence, a managerial masterclass in protecting a player's morale while implicitly acknowledging the need for goals. The message was clear: the process is perfect, the product will come. The manager reserved his most glowing praise for his captain. "I think Martin was phenomenal today," Arteta stated. "He really took charge of the game in a really aggressive way, making things happen." This was not just praise but an endorsement of Ødegaard's role. He has the full license to express his natural creativity, to be the team's chief protagonist. A key theme was the squad's burgeoning depth. 6 changes from the draining win at Newcastle pointed to a newfound ability to rotate without a catastrophic drop in quality, a stark contrast to previous seasons. Arteta celebrated this, highlighting the statistic that substitutes have now scored in 5 consecutive games. It shows the mentality of the players that they are ready to come in and impact the game. This depth was also crucial for player management, with Big Gabby withdrawn as a precaution after a knock, a luxury the manager could afford. This was more than just another group stage win. For years, Olympiacos had been a peculiar bogeyman for Arsenal at the Emirates, winning on their 3 previous visits. Breaking this curse, as Arteta alluded to, was a small but significant psychological victory. It was a demonstration of a new, more resilient mentality against a historically awkward opponent. The encounter also carried a personal resonance for Arteta, pitting him against his former mentor, José Luis Mendilibar. Strange but enjoyable, he called it, a moment of poignant reflection on his own journey. It was a duel between master and apprentice, and while Arteta expressed gratitude for Mendilibar's influence on his career, he was unequivocally glad to have secured the win, a sign of his own evolution into a top-tier tactician. Now let's shift our focus towards the huge result against Newcastle. In the cacophonous cauldron that is St James's Park, football matches are often won and lost not merely on technical quality, but in the crucible of character. It is a ground that tests resolve, preys on doubt, and amplifies adversity. For Arsenal, this recent visit was a symphony of everything that could and did go wrong. Interesting officiating, profligacy in front of goal, and a sucker punch concession. Yet, to emerge victorious was not an act of fortune, but a profound statement of application, a testament to a team that has internalized its manager's doctrine of relentless persistence. Mikel Arteta, in his post-match elocution, captured this sentiment perfectly. "What a moment! This is what we do," he began, his words laced with both relief and pride. "The team was incredible. At the end, we deserved much more than what we were getting. Football sometimes gives you what you deserve, and today we certainly did that." His analysis went beyond the result, touching upon the very essence of his project's evolution. We talked about the next level. You really have to be dominant emotionally in these grounds, especially when things start to go against us. The way the team reacted to that was, in my opinion, outstanding. It was a victory forged not in ease, but in defiance of it. For those who have demanded that Arsenal's periods of overwhelming statistical dominance be translated into ruthless victories, the opening act of this drama was a familiar, if frustrating, script. The Gunners were imperious. They seized control with an unnerving calm, their passing carousels leaving Newcastle's robust midfield disoriented and chasing shadows. The tactical gulf between the sides was stark. Had football been a purer exercise in chance creation, Arsenal would have been 3-0 ahead within the half hour, the contest rendered a procession. But hey, it's the Premier League, and this was St James's Park after all. A combination of squandered opportunities and some truly resolute goalkeeping from Nick Pope kept the home side tethered to a game they had no right to be in. The scoreboard remained defiantly blank, a silent mockery of Arsenal's ascendancy. Then came the moment that ignited debate. Viktor Gyökeres, laser-sharp to a loose back pass, burst through. As he nudged the ball past the onrushing Pope, he was unceremoniously taken out. A clear penalty, one would assume anywhere across Europe. The referee pointed to the spot, but VAR intervened, revealing a sequence of infinitesimal detail. Gyökeres touches the ball, Pope gets a phantom touch, both players clatters. The penalty was overturned, correctly perhaps by the letter of the law as it was interpreted on the day. Herein lies the rub for the Arsenal faithful. This decision stands in stark contrast to precedent. One recalls a similar incident involving Manchester United and Chelsea's goalkeeper, resulting in a red card. More pointedly, PGMOL chief Howard Webb himself, in a review last season, clarified that William Saliba's contact on the ball before fouling an opponent did not negate the penalty. The frustrating inconsistency continues. For Arsenal fans, it felt less like an application of law and more like a fresh interpretation conjured for the occasion. It was a test of nerve. The source of Arsenal's dominance was a piece of tactical artistry. Newcastle's combative midfield triumvirate of Tonali, Bruno and Joe Linton is designed to disrupt and destroy. Arteta neutered it. This was achieved by inverting Leandro Trossard from the left flank into a central number 10 position, creating a midfield box with Declan Rice, Eberechi Eze and Martin Zubimendi. This numerical superiority completely overwhelmed the Magpies. As Trossard drifted inside, he vacated the left channel, a space that became Gyökeres' personal playground. The repeated long diagonal passes into that channel were a deliberate ploy, stretching Newcastle's backline and sowing discord. Furthermore, with attackers like Eze and Bukayo Saka now operating closer to Gyökeres rather than hugging the touchlines, intricate combination plays began to flourish in the half spaces. The fluidity was, at times, spellbinding, further enhanced when fullbacks Jurrien Timber and Ricardo Calafiori tucked into midfield, creating a suffocating central overload. Just as Arsenal's tactical masterclass was in full swing, the inevitable sucker punch arrived. A Newcastle corner, a momentary lapse in concentration, and weak defending from Gabriel, uncharacteristically so, saw the hosts snatch a lead entirely against the run of play. The injustice was compounded by a permissive refereeing style that seemed to punish Arsenal's physicality while ignoring similar challenges from the home side. Yet the rhythm didn't break. Half-time arrived with Arsenal trailing but utterly in control. The second half saw them turn up the intensity. Eze became the protagonist, a phantom floating into pockets of space, his movement a constant headache. A sublime team move involving Saka, Rice and Trossard culminated in a chipped cross to an unmarked Eze, who regrettably volleyed over. The pressure was relentless. Special mention must go to Timber, who is rapidly validating his reputation as one of the world's most complete fullbacks. He engaged in a titanic duel with Anthony Gordon and completely neutralized him, a display of defensive acumen, physicality, and supreme confidence. With 30 minutes remaining, Arteta initiated his final, audacious gambit. The team morphed into an ultra-attacking 2-1-5-2 formation. The fullbacks pushed on, Eze and Saka became inside creators, and Rice and Zubimendi alternated as the lone deep playmaker. Trossard joined Gyökeres up front, and the one-touch patterns in the final third became sharper, more incisive. Amidst this attacking frenzy, a lung-busting recovery run from Rice to deny a Newcastle counter-attack underscored the team's unwavering commitment. The game's most fascinating tactical shift came with a substitution. Zubimendi off, Martin Ødegaard on. Crucially, Odegaard did not assume his usual advanced role, but dropped deep into the register position, the deep-lying conductor, a la Andrea Pirlo or Arsenal's own Cesc Fabregas. Instantly, the formation shifted again to a breathtakingly bold 2-1-7. With Odegaard dictating play from deep with his sublime passing range, Arsenal laid siege. The equaliser came from a newly devised corner routine. A short combination, a wicked in-swinger from Rice, and an inadvertent but decisive flick header from Mikel Merino saw the ball nestle in the net. The momentum was now a tidal wave. In the dying embers of the game, another corner. This time Odegaard stepped up. The Arsenal cavalry charged, and it was Gabriel, atoning for his earlier error, who rose highest to power a header home. Redemption, elation, 3 points, wrested from the jaws of adversity, made all the sweeter by Liverpool's concurrent defeat.
This victory at St James's Park was more than 3 points. It was a signal of the new Arsenal. Technically superior, tactically sophisticated, and now, crucially, mentally indomitable. Having navigated a treacherous run of opening fixtures with flying colours, the challenge now is to sustain this level of performance through the unforgiving winter months. Similarly, in the Champions League, Arsenal's 2-0 win lays out a microcosm of their current identity, a team of immense potential, capable of producing football of dazzling quality, yet one that still occasionally struggles with the cold hard currency of goals. The result was positive, the performance illuminating in its creativity, but the finishing was a cause for considerable introspection. Against the titans of Europe, the Real Madrids and Bayern Munichs of the world, such profligacy will be ruthlessly punished. Periods of dominance must be converted into unassailable leads. The victory provides a platform of confidence and continues the team's momentum. Next up is a visit from West Ham United, a fixture that carries the scars of the previous season, a game that played a part in derailing a title charge. It presents another opportunity to demonstrate growth, not just in tactical execution, but in mental fortitude. The Olympiacos match was a successful, if nervy, dress rehearsal. Now Arsenal must prove they can deliver a flawless performance when the stakes are at their highest, turning their beautiful, intricate processes into the tangible, glorious silverware they so desperately crave. The process is bearing fruit, the belief is palpable. They are in it to win it together. Thanks for joining in. This is the Arsenal Blueprint, and this has been an incredible week of football, right? Did you give up or stay behind the team when we were 1-0 down against Newcastle till the last few minutes, or you kept the belief? Do share your thoughts, like, share, subscribe, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, come on the Arsenal.